said, have you any suspicions of anyone in your family? I said, what family? There's only me and him. He said, we can't talk with this dog carrying on. Can't we come inside? I said, you told people not to open the doors. She said, yes, but we're the police. I said, well, take your shoes off. She's in uniform. He's got a raincoat on. She said, we've had complaints about the dog. It's in your printout. I said, oh, it's the dog, is it? I thought it was the killer you were after. She said, your hubby says it never barks. I said, when did you talk to him? She said, at his place of employment. These are the dates of the murders. Look at them and tell me whether you can remember where your husband was on any of these dates. I said he was at home. He's always at home. She said, our information is he'll sometimes go out. I said, yes, with the dog. Do you know dogs? They occasionally want to have a Jimmy Riddle. She said, what about this fly tipping? His van's been seen. I said, the van's not my province, though I've shared the back seat with a beast head before now. Meanwhile, one in the raincoat's been sitting, saying nothing, looking round, sizing the place up. Suddenly he stands up. Can I use the toilet? I said, no. Well, you'll have to wait while I put a paper down. So I took him upstairs and I waited outside. He said, I can't do it with you listening. So I came downstairs again and she says he's got a funny bladder. One last question. Have you noticed anything out of the ordinary about your husband, stroke boyfriend, stroke father, stroke son? Well, that's husband, in your case. Over the last 6 months. Like what? Blood on his clothes? I said, there's always blood. He's a slaughter man, only he won't find any in here, and he won't find any outside. He swirls it off. I said, your friend's taking his time. She said, men have problems with the water. I've an idea he has an appliance. When eventually he comes down, he says, you keep the place tidy. I said, I used to be a teacher. He said, oh, what did you teach? I said, children. He said, do you have any? I said, does it look like it? As they're going, Mother Catchpole opposite stood in the road and shouts across, I've got something to tell you. Girl goes over and has a word, comes back. Nothing, she said. It's the flaming dog. Nobody listens to me, she's shouting. I've had a depression with that dog. I shut the door. When I went upstairs to wipe round the toilets, saw he'd moved 1 or 2 ornaments. Nothing else I could remember. When his lordship came back, I said, you didn't tell me they'd been to your work. He said, oh, it was routine. I've tipped on one of the sites where they found one of them. I said, you find that ticket? He said, what ticket? For the dry cleaners, the tan slacks. He said, oh, yeah. They're at work. I said, you're not wearing them for work. They're good slacks, are them? He said, they're shit-coloured. What do I want with shit-coloured trousers? He was in the yard, swilling his boots, and he was saying all this. Outside. Just had to be much more careful with all that. Don't know what's got into him. There's a lad opposite delivering 4 pizzas to number 17. She's a widow, living on her own with a son in New Zealand and a heart condition. What's she wanting with 4 pizzas? Bet she's never had a pizza in her life. They must think I'm stupid. The doctor says, why can't you sleep? I said, the police are bugging my home. She said, yes, there's a lot of it about. Asian, too. And only a bit more civil. We went out in the van the other night, and he stopped it somewhere, and he said, do you think it's me? I said, no. He said, well, my mum does. It was her that went to the police. But what did they say? Told her she wasn't the only one. Others queuing up, apparently. I said, well, she might cut a bit more ice if she didn't wear that leopard skin coat thing. Legacy from when she was at it herself. He said, what? Soliciting. He said, who told you that? I said, you did. She said she was hard up. He said, oh, it was years ago. I was still at school. He went out with Tina later on. Comes in all worked up again. Sets to. Thought he was going to go through the bed. Saying stuff out loud again. I thought of them across the road, listening. So I put my hand over his mouth at one point. Which he seemed to like. I waited to see if there was anything in the papers. Oh, no, there wasn't. Been nothing for about a week now. You can get things out of proportion, I think. Found where they put the listening thing this morning. Little hole in the skirting board. He did it when he was reckoning to go to the lavatory. He must have been quick. He managed to colour it white so it didn't show. Only some fluff got stuck to the paint. So that's how I spotted it. Found another one, looks like. This time on a skip. Been there about a week. One of them leaps over the wall. Quite unnecessarily, in my opinion, because the gate's wide open. I get it off the TV. 5 police cars batter on the door, and when he opens it, bowl him over and put handcuffs on him and take him off with a jacket over his head. Tina, of course, is going mad. And they've got a dog of their own, which doesn't help. I said, you're not fetching that thing in here. He said, we've got a warrant. I said, his dog's never been in. I don't see why your dog should. He said, this is an instrument of law enforcement. I said, yes. And it's an instrument of urinating against lampposts and leaving parcels on pavements. I don't want it sniffing round my stuff. He said, you haven't got no choice, love. Shoves me out the way. One of them's upstairs, going through the airing cupboard. I said, what are you looking for? Maybe I can help. He said, if you must know, we're looking for the murder weapon. I said, oh, I can show you that. This is the murder weapon. This is always the murder weapon. You want to drag the canal for that? He said, you sound sicker than he does. I don't think you realise the seriousness of your situation. We find out you know what's been going on, you'll be in the dock yourself. I said, don't put those sheets back. I shall have them all to wash now you've been handling them. He said, we shall want all his clothes and other selected items, and produces a roll of bin bags. Is everything here? He hasn't got anything at the dry cleaners. I said, no. I said, how do I know we'll get all this stuff back? He said, that's the least of your worries. When eventually they go, the handler reckons to take charge of Tina, only he can't get her to go in the car with them. Then when they do force her in, they all pile out sharpish because she straight away does her business in the car. I laughed. Suddenly quiet when they're gone. Just Mother Catchpole at her gate, shouting. Doctor says I'm clinically depressed. That dog wants putting down. Police said I wasn't to touch anything, but I wasn't having the place left upset like that. So, set to. Clean down, repair the ravages a bit. 1 or 2 folks outside the house, looking in. The phone rings now and again, but I don't answer. Getting dark by the time I've finished. I didn't turn the lights on. Just sat there. They must have charged him around 6. Because suddenly there was cars drawing up and the phones going like mad and reporters banging on the door and shouting through the letterbox and whatnot. I just sit there in the dark and don't take on.